Diamond was 3 years old and loved her older sister Tianda, who was 10 years old. Their relationship wasn't always smooth sailing, as Diamond was at the age when a toddler begins expressing their rapidly developing personality. Sometimes she was a bit stubborn, and the sisters did sometimes argue. Their family remembers the little things still. Diamond was always jumping on the couch and sneaking food from others. She also enjoyed playing dolls with her older sisters. There were four girls in total. Rita was 12 years old, Tianda was 10 years old, Victoria 8 years old, and Diamond was 3 years old. But only Tianda and Diamond were home that day together. Rita and Victoria were staying at their grandmother's and planning to celebrate Victoria's birthday, which was on Saturday. Their mother later said that she had made plans to take the girls on a camping trip in Indiana with Diamond's father. Those plans never materialized. On that fateful Friday morning, Diamond's father, George Washington, arrived at around 4:30 a.m., whereupon he stayed until he took Tracy to work at approximately 6 a.m. to 6:30 a.m. Tracy was employed at Robert Taylor Park, where she was preparing lunches for the summer camp kids. Their plan was for George to come back after her shift and pick Tracy up. They would return to her apartment for the girls, and then they would set off on their Indiana camping trip. George spent the time in between at his girlfriend's home, and then later at his mother's. Meanwhile, Tianda and Diamond remained at home, with Tianda playing babysitter. When Tracy's shift ended, George was there to pick her up and some of her colleagues up. He then drove them around, dropping off the other people before they finally arrived at the Bradley's apartment complex somewhere between 11 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. Tracy found the front door locked, but neither of the girls were home. The only sign of what had happened to them was a handwritten letter from Tianda on the back of the coach, explaining that the girls were going to Tianda's school and then stopping by the Lake Meadows shopping center right across the street from the school. The authorities had the letter verified of its authenticity that Tianda did indeed write it. Tianda was enrolled in summer classes at Doolittle Elementary, just a couple of blocks away, and their mother did not initially think it was particularly strange. She assumed Tianda might just have gotten to take Diamond with her to school instead of skipping class. The school was an easy walking distance even for Diamond. Unfortunately, as time passed, the girls never reappeared. Tracy later testified that she scoured the neighborhood looking for them, but nothing materialized. It is not clear how much George contributed to the search. Tracy finally submitted a missing persons report to the police on Friday night around 6:30 p.m., 12 hours after telling the girls goodbye that morning. Several different children in the neighborhood later testified that they saw the sisters playing near their home and in the school parking playground around noon, but none of the faculty or staff at the school confirmed seeing them there. Victoria and Rita couldn't shed any light on where the girls were either. Diamond had left her backpack behind, suggesting they didn't plan to be gone long, and nothing was taken that suggested a runaway situation, nor was there any history amongst the children of running away. Neither child has been seen since. It's as if they simply vanished into the Chicagoan urban jungle. The case was initially treated as a missing persons, given that there was no evidence of abduction. Nevertheless, the manhunt was massively initially involved more than 100 police officers and the FBI. Police in the community scoured the neighborhood, going apartment to apartment and combing all nearby natural areas and parks. The searched roofs, sewers, stairwells, elevator shafts, lakes, lagoons, parks, cornfields, paint factories, drive-in movie theaters, and more revealed nothing. They even searched more than 5,000 abandoned buildings in the city, but still there was nothing. The neighborhood is just a few minutes walk from the Burnham Park, which runs alongside Lake Michigan. It might have been attractive to two girls walking and playing. They also looked into a lead that the girls may have been buried in a nearby nature preserve after two areas were found with freshly turned dirt. Despite continued searches, no trace was ever found to where the girls went after leaving their home that morning. Family suggest it was unlikely that the girls were taken by a stranger. Both girls were relatively shy around strangers, though Diamond was said to be particularly chatty when she wanted to be, and Tianda has been described as outspoken and smart for her age. The girl's mother, Tracy, passed a polygraph test shortly after their disappeared, and however, police later noted that she became less cooperative as time passed. For example, in March 2002, she pushed an officer and was taken to the station handcuffed. The officer said he was just asking her to accompany him to the police station to discuss new leads that they had uncovered. Police started to question her, but her attorney put an end to this. After this, Tracy became less willing to work with the police and failed to appear at several appointments with them. Nonetheless, she is not a suspect in the case. Two men police investigated were linked to the girls as possible paternal connections. The first was an unknown Morocco man who had been paying child support for Tianda under the mistaken belief that he was her father. Tracy filed a paternity lawsuit against the man a month before the girls vanished, but the case would later reveal that he was not actually biologically related to Tianda and had been wrongfully paying child support for some time. It is not clear when he learned the truth, but hairs were found in his trunk that DNA testing matched to the Bradley family. It could not, however, show whether the hair was one of the girls or their mother, and an FBI trip to Morocco revealed nothing. The second was Diamond's father, George Washington. The morning they disappeared, Tianda called her mother and left a voicemail around 8:30 a.m. In it, she said a man named George was at the door and asked if she could let him in. However, there were other men named George in their lives, and so it was not clear who precisely she was talking about. Police have repeated, re-interviewed, and reinvestigated the extensive family surrounding the girls. They even searched the girls' great-grandfather's Wisconsin home, but nothing was ever found. Tips still continue to appear every so often. Decades have passed, and Tianda's family continue to search for her and Diamond. As long as the search continues, they hope to keep the sisters' memory alive. Tracy had two other children in the years past. Rita and Victoria still remind their siblings and cousins of the girls that vanished in an afternoon. In 2016, the extended family of almost 50 people held a vigil for the girls, lifting up their prayers and releasing white balloons in their honor. Their disappearance sparked a massive search. Hundreds of Chicago police, federal law enforcement officers, and civilian volunteers spent days and weeks searching the streets, sewers, and abandoned factories and buildings. They interviewed dozens of people and nearly 100 registered sex offenders, but their efforts were unsuccessful. You never think it could happen to you, but it can, Sheila said, her mother, adding one last plea, please just bring us our babies, whether they're grown or their remains. We just want our babies back. Diamond Yvette Bradley is an American African black girl who was born on November the 25th, 1997. She has deep-set black eyes and black hair and was 3 feet tall at the time of her disappearance. She weighed approximately 40 pounds and has a scar on the left side of her head, and often her hair is in 4 ponytail holders and is described as timid but loves to talk. Anyone with information about Diamond's case is asked to contact the Chicago Police Department at 312-747-5789, the FBI, Illinois, at 312-421-6700, or the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children at 1-800-THE-LOST. And if you'd like to remain anonymous, please contact your local Crime Stoppers. A reward of up to $10,000 is being offered for information regarding the current whereabouts of Diamond Bradley and her sister Tianda.